Hello folks and welcome back to Ruthless Metal. Today we're celebrating here because it's the 1 year anniversary of the channel. It has now been a year since I uploaded that video documentary on Swedish metal that got over 100,000 views. And it has been a great year for the channel, over 4 million views in total, 400,000 watch hours and over 40,000 subscribers and still counting. So thank you guys for your amazing support. And to celebrate the 1 year anniversary of the channel, I thought what better way to do that than to do a Q&A. So I'm going to try to answer all of your questions here today. And as always, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe if you're new to the channel, because now it's time for me to answer all of your questions. So let's do this. The Last Bottles asked, where are you from? Your accent is hard to place. I'm from Sweden, the land of Vikings, ABBA, Zlatan and IKEA, but also bands like Europe, Bathory, Candlemass and Yngwie of course. So English is not my first language, which I guess most of you have already figured out. The Metalhead asks, what song/band got you into metal music and when was it? I got into heavy music at an early age. I remember seeing Metallica's Swan on TV. And then they released the Black Album when I was 10 years old in '91. So early on I was a big Metallica and Guns N' Roses fan, like most of my peers at the time. I didn't really understand the nuances between the bands that well, so everything was hard rock in my mind. I also bought Sepultura's Chaos CD on release, and I remember getting a cassette tape with Europe and Kiss, but I didn't like them as much as Metallica and Guns N' Roses. I was also heavily into Nirvana, and I still remember the shock when hearing on the radio that they found Kurt Cobain's body. So Guns, Metallica and Nirvana were amongst my favorites when I was a kid and in my early teens. Anthony W. asks, what was your pivotal moment that started your love for metal? Actually, this moment is very clear to me. I remember this moment as a life-changing moment, and it certainly was. As I mentioned earlier, I was a huge Metallica fan as a kid, and Metallica was of course absolutely huge in the mid-90s. Load and Reload had came out in 96 and 97. I bought those two records and I listened to them quite a bit, but I also owned Ride the Lightning, but I hadn't listened to it for quite some time. I just remembered it to be loud and noisy and quite different from the 90s Metallica that I enjoyed. But since I was such a Metallica fanboy, I decided to put my old Ride the Lightning CD in my record player, even if I knew that it sounded a bit different from the Metallica that I enjoyed. And it was like the heavens opened and the angels started to sing. My world was turned upside down, and I was completely floored by Ride the Lightning. This wasn't inferior to Load and Reload. This was way better. I couldn't believe what a great record it was. And what I didn't understand as a kid, I finally got it. I need to buy all the Metallica records. So I quickly used all my money to buy Puppets, Kill 'Em All and Injustice for All to complete my collection. And from there I learned that the type of music that Metallica played was called thrash metal. And this was in 96 or 97. So you couldn't just Google thrash metal and get a ton of recommendations, because there was no Google or YouTube for that matter. And I soon learned that Dave Mustaine, a former Metallica member, had a band called Megadeth, so I started buying their records. And I also bought Exodus Bounded by Blood, because I've heard that they played thrash, and Slayer's Rain in Blood. I bought those records simply because I've read somewhere that they played thrash metal, so I bought them without hearing the music first. And it was like I found some long lost artifacts from a forgotten world. It was like I found Atlantis or something. Next question. Mr. Question Mark asks, do you have any other passions that is not music? Yeah, I'm also a football nerd. I watched the Swedish national team and Malmö FF, it's the team that I support here in Sweden. But I also watch some Premier League, Champions League and stuff like that. And I'm also a big movie and TV nerd. I watch old westerns, but also new TV shows like Breaking Bad, Sopranos or Vikings. And I'm also a gamer, of course. I finally got that PS5. So I'm playing Red Dead, GTA, Elder Scrolls and Rocket League. And this YouTube thing is of course a hobby as well, but there is of course a Patreon if you guys want to help me become a full-time YouTuber. Wink wink. And for every other hobby, there is just no time for it these days. So, next question. Mr. Question Mark asks, do you listen to anything that is not metal? Not really. I've listened to some other stuff over the years, like Nirvana as a kid or Guns N' Roses. And I've listened to some rock and punk stuff over the years too, but I can't say that I actively look for non-metal music these days. And Bob Dylan was an old favorite of mine, but I don't really listen that much to him these days. Oh, I almost forgot that I absolutely love old spaghetti western soundtracks. Ennio Morricone is amazing, and Luis Bacalov and all of those guys. And let me know if you want me to put together a Spotify playlist with some western themes, and I will gladly comply. R.C. Scott asks, who wins in a fight, Lemmy or God? Ooh, a trick question, is it? If we're talking about metal here, then God must be the metal god himself, which of course is Rob Halford. And if I have to choose between Lemmy and Rob Halford, I choose Rob Halford. Matthew Elias asks, what's the most overrated metal band of all time? Well, it depends on what you call metal. I would for example not call Slipknot, Rammstein, Marilyn Manson, Korn or Linkin Park metal. But if you consider any of those to be metal, then there you go. Maybe Slipknot can be defined as metal though. They really suck ass. Shitty band, huge following, equals the most overrated metal band of all time, so Slipknot it is. Quest for Metal asks, what popular bands do you dislike? Besides those I just mentioned, there are a handful of popular hard rock bands that I can tolerate and so, but I've never been that interested in them, so dislike might be a strong word. But I have to say AC/DC. I never really understood why so many hard rock and heavy metal fans are so heavily into them, since they write these kind of simplistic boogie-woogie riffs and their vocalist sounds like you stepped on the cat's tail or something. Don't get me wrong, there are of course a few AC/DC songs that are cool, but I never really understood the hype for them. Kiss is another band that I never really understood. They were practically a disco band, and they really wrote some lame ass songs overall. And I'm not the biggest Thin Lizzy fan either. And if we're going to talk more extreme metal bands, then Pantera is heavily overrated. Machine Head sucks, Nevermore sucks, Tool, Gojira and Ghost I couldn't care less for. And I don't care that much for grindcore, and death and black metal I don't listen that much to. I do dig a handful of bands in each genre, but I rarely listen to anything more extreme than thrash. So I'm a bit picky when it comes to metal, and if you're a metal fan, then you should check out Quest for Metal, who asked the question here. He has a very cool YouTube channel, so check it out if you haven't. The Brodator asks, what's your favorite music video? Tough question. I don't know if I have a video that I just can't stop watching. But let's say Queensryche's Queen of the Reich, great song, and the music video has this 80s sci-fi theme. That one is cool, and I like it when the bands put some effort into their videos. It can't just be some clips from a live show, it must be some type of complimentary story, otherwise the music video is kinda pointless. And I was also impressed with Helvetets Port and the video that they made for the song Ruled with an Iron Hand. They really put some time into that one with the Egyptian theme and the 80s VHS quality and all. Love it. Mikey asks, best thrash band of all time? That one also depends, I would say. The highest highs or the best record or the best several records. Coroner to me are the most impressive band. They play like their hands were on fire, but they quit in the 90s. Overkill might be the most consistent band. They put out like 5 masterpieces in a row, and Coroner got like 3. Creators, another band that just kept releasing masterpieces in the 80s, and Slayer also had a great run. But I think I have to go with Metallica here. It's the boring answer, I know, but Kill 'Em All, Ride the Lightning and Master of Puppets all released in a 4-year period, with extensive touring on top of that. It's just insanely impressive. And I didn't even mention Justice here, but it's also a masterpiece. A bit flawed, but still a masterpiece. While E. Shag My Shih Tzu asks, do you like Wasp? Yes I do. 83 Figure asks, what does the Defending the Faith since 2001 mean? Is 2001 the year that you got into metal, or when you were born, or what about it? It's neither actually. Defending the Faith since 2001 means that I've been promoting metal online since then. Well, a few years before that, to be honest. I'm not exactly sure when I started this metal journey. Most of you who watch this video are probably not familiar with Ruthless thrash metal web scene. It was a thrash metal site that I had approximately between 98 and 2015 or something. And I still have it on my PC, but it's no longer online. So let me know if anyone here remembers the Ruthless thrash metal site. It was actually the first site online exclusively dedicated to thrash metal when I started creating it in 98. But then you might wonder why it says 2001 instead of 1998. It's because I'm not completely sure about the years here. I know I started coding this site in 98 and it was probably online by then, or maybe in early 1999, but I don't remember exactly. All I know is that I started doing interviews with different thrash and speed metal bands in 2001. So it should perhaps be Defending the Faith since 98, but yeah, I'm not exactly sure when I started this journey. So that's why I have the Defending the Faith since 2001 tag in the intro of most of my videos. Akariaid asks, what's your favorite decade for metal? It's without a doubt the 80s. I would say that like 95% of the stuff that I listened to were made in the 80s, or late 70s, or sometimes early 90s. But yeah, the 80s is certainly the golden age for metal. Mr. Jair asks, do you think that rock/metal is dead? In some senses yes, in others no. Let me explain. It's dead in the mainstream sense. The big mass media networks never mentions metal, and if they do, it's always in a negative way. This guy that went on and did some horrible things, listen to this and that band. It's always something negative, while they push gangster rap and stuff like that. I mean, when was the last time that you saw an Overkill video on TV, or a Testament video on TV, or any band like that? Bands that have a big following, but they aren't allowed on TV. In the 80s, MTV actually played videos like that from time to time. So in a mainstream sense, metal is dead, but there will always be an underground scene. People who care about the music, and they couldn't care less whether it's popular or not amongst regular folks. Especially since we got the internet now, people can actually find stuff. It's not like it was in the dark ages, aka the 90s, when certain genres more or less became extinct. Okay guys, this video turned out to be longer than I expected, so I think that we're going to end it here and do a part 2 of the Q&A here on the channel real soon. So make sure that you guys hit that like button, subscribe and leave a comment down below. And if you want to support the channel, then you can always become a patron, like the Horsemen of the Apocalypse. And if you become a patron, then you get to vote on different video topics and you get an invite to my Discord server. So check all the links down below. And that's all folks, so thanks for watching and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Bye bye.